All right. We are back with another video. This will be the first video of its type that I've done on this channel. Um, this is the EnaiRim Futhark project drop. Basically, the two core parts of it, Mannaz and Freyr, have dropped. Mannaz is the replacement for Imperious. Freyr is the replacement for Andromeda. So yeah, this is huge because those two mods, Imperious and Andromeda, they were already probably the best mods of their kind. Imperious being the race mod. If we can pull that up real quick. Oh, went one too far here. There we go. Imperious being the races of Skyrim. You see how many downloads it's had? Almost 2 million. Andromeda also well over 1 million here. So really amped up to see. I know Mannaz is very brand new. It's maybe been out for a month or two. Freyr just dropped today. So I want to go over why Mannaz and Freyr are going to be better than Imperious and Andromeda. Okay, first of all, the easiest way to, just starting with the very first class here, the very first race, Argonian. Amphibious. Argonians breathe water and swim 50% faster. They also recover health quickly underwater and 100% faster in rain. Caustic spit. Argonians spit corrosive venom that drains armor and magic resistance, a good bit of armor, and 25% magic resistance for 20 seconds. So let's check out what they got in Imperious. So here we are. Caustic spit was a quest reward, which that was cool, but you got it once a day, which made it basically worthless unless you were using something like Power Surge or Voice of Rage and Ruin. Which who wants to use a two-handed weapon with their Argonian? And then Power Surge, sure you could, but that was a very rare drop from Summer Mist. That's a very rare enchantment to come across unless you were cheating. So to get this just out the box, yeah, you only get two bonuses, but to get Caustic Spit actively, very good. Amphibious, having water breathing innately, very good for Argonian. Swimming 50% faster, very good. Recover health quickly underwater and 100% faster in rain. So I know what you're thinking. Well, how do I control the rain? So you have Stormcall, which if you have to mod better Stormcall, very important. I feel like that's going to be a core part of the Argonian identity. Being able to have Stormcall on deck or something that causes rain, whether it's control weather. That's probably the other reliable way to do it, but I'd probably just end up using Stormcall 9 times out of 10. Obviously you can't do this inside of a dungeon or what have you, but I still feel like it's a good balance. Argonian definitely goes from being the Mario. I felt like it was the Mario in Imperious more so than in the Imperials, where this was more like the Mario class, where there was just nothing special about it except if you were in water, to this being much more, hey, you can drain your opponents actively, and also you get that water bonus as well. And now it's extended into a rain bonus, which it wasn't in Imperious. So already on the first race, we've already got massive bonuses. I'm not going to go through, matter of fact, I will go through, since I went through the trouble of pulling up the Andromeda page. Let's go through all the Andromeda stones real quick, and then we'll compare them to the stones that you get for just Argonian. So the cool thing about Freyr, and we'll go over this in a minute, is that instead of each standing stone applying to every single race, now each race has its own set of standing stones. I forgot how many standing stones there are in total. I think there's like, is it 11 or is it some, I forgot how many there are, but we can count as we go down. Number 1, the imprinted stone. Sort of good. It has a once a day, and again, I'm glad that I got away from this 1 per day thing. I hate the greater powers. I'm not using something once per day. I don't think most players are happy to use something once per day. I get that that's a D&D thing, but this is a video game. We're not trying to do that for the most part. So that's really awesome that for the most part we're getting rid of once per day effects. So once per day, preventing killing blow by annihilating attacker, no effect on massive targets. I hate that, but I understand it. Like, honestly, if you were just going to go up against the super boss, why wouldn't you just wait for him to, wait a day and then walk up to him and then, massive target the dragon or the mammoth or what have you just can't kill you because, well, vaporize works. So I get it. But it's unlockable as well. So if you're going through the trouble of unlocking all of these, and the way to unlock these unlockables back in Andromeda was to go to every single standing stone. You couldn't cheat it. Like, you couldn't go to cheat room and just activate them all inside your cheat room. You had to physically go to all the locations until the little marker popped up saying, hey, you discovered this. And then once you've done it for all, is it 11 stones? It might be 11 stones. Once you've done it for all the stones, yeah, you unlock all of their unlockable abilities as long as you have that particular stone active at that time. So, going forward, the Apprentice Stone, good for mages, but okay, whatever. The Atronach Stone, very good for mages up to a certain point. There is a certain point where I would say very early in the game it's very strong, and then later on in the game it just kind of falls off because you accumulate enough enchantments for lowering your spell costs and enough magical reserve and enough everything that you just don't need this, and the drawbacks begin outweighing the benefits. Like, if you really want to snipe somebody, right, you have zero magicka to do that process unless you're starting with Vancian magic, so it becomes very, very sucky. Lady Stone. Alright, I actually like the stone. It's extremely easy to get. So the most important thing when you think about stones isn't just the power level, it's when you're able to get it. So the Apprentice Stone is off in the marshes. You won't get it usually until you're about ready to do Horn of Jorgen Windcaller. So it's not a very early game stone. That's kind of like a mid-game stone. Atronach Stone is deep in the swamps of the boiling swamps of Eastmarch. Again, you're probably not going to get around to it until mid, maybe late game. A typical player might find it pretty late game. Lady Stone can actually be found very, very quickly. If you're halfway curious about that lake, like you're a brand new player of Skyrim, which it's been 11 years, so nobody is, but brand new player of Skyrim, you'll pretty much go out to the middle of Lake Ilinalta almost certainly, like, just because. And then, of course, if you're doing the maze side quest, you're also going to head out that way anyway. So very early stone, so that's where I'm judging its power level on, right? I like this stone, I really do. Eclipse is kind of, I don't like it, but it does, the biggest drawback to it is that it does take up a summoning slot, but if you're not really worried about summoning slots because you just started the game, it is what it is. Like, this is a very good stone to start with if you're not, especially if you're not speccing to anything in specific, like you're not really going hard warrior, thief, or mage, which is your other 3 very early game options, or ritual, which we'll go over ritual when we get to it. Lady Stone is pretty good for a very early game stone. Lord Stone, basically the heavy attacker head basher stone, right? Very good stone. I'm not gonna lie to you, I like the stone. I like it. And I'm glad that he actually brought both of these effects back as the Breton lore stone. So you'll see that when we get up to Breton. I'm not sure how long this video is gonna be, but it's already been 9 minutes, so we'll just keep going. I've never used Kneel or Be Knelt. I've never cared about it. Lover Stone. Yeah, Undying Love is pretty cool. It's basically another layer of intervention, which is the level 100 restoration perk that allows you to cheat death, and this also allows you to cheat death, so that's pretty cool. Mage Stone. So I call these 3 the starter Pokemon: the Mage Stone, the Thief Stone, and the Warrior Stone. They basically just give you basic level upping of your mage, thief, or warrior abilities. So it's basically the same as, I don't know if it's exactly the same, but it's pretty similar to what it is in vanilla Skyrim. Alright, Ritual Stone is the last very early game stone. You get it right outside of Whiterun. You should know this already. To the east. Yeah, let me think. Probably the strongest stone. But only in the case of Stones of Galen for Andromeda. I really don't want to go through Stones of Galen. But Stones of Galen is very important for Breton and Andromeda. And Imperious. But here's the problem. Stones of Galen, Ritual Stone was terrifically nerfed to the point where it no longer gives like plus 300. It used to give plus 300. So let me explain the effect first. It gave plus 300 shrine bonuses, percent shrine bonuses, but the drawback was that it only lasted 5 minutes. So you had to do everything you need to do within 5 minutes. Whereas the lower level nerf ritual stone for Stones of Galen now only gives like a plus 20%, which is just miserably bad. It's actually really, really bad. I'm not gonna lie. Meanwhile, the Red Guard God Tall Papa gets like a plus 200%, usually plus 180, but it goes up to plus 200% buff to all shrines, which makes it basically way better at looping enchantments and potions. And if you know anything about power gaming Skyrim, your ability to loop enchantments and potions basically makes you the more powerful character. So it used to be that Breton was the most powerful character in the game because they had the most powerful looping ability. Now it's without a doubt the Red Guard. But yeah, my main reason I don't like Andromeda as much as I used to is because of that big old nerf. But we're no longer interested in Andromeda because we now have Freyr. And I'll explain that in a minute. Well, I'll explain that when I get to it. Serpent Stone, yeah, if you like sneaking around for stuff, cool. Again, another once per day ability that's kind of like, why is this only once per day? I want to do this like once per enemy, honestly. Like at will. Shadowstone, yeah, this is basically the Khajiit stone. If you don't know, Khajiit like punching things, especially in Imperious, and punching things gets better the faster you move. So if you want to be a punch cat, the ability to move faster is important. So, and I think if I'm not mistaken, I know for sure that Khajiit gets a movement bonus on it. So Freyr, not Freyr. It might be Freyr and Mannaz. It gets movement bonuses on both of those mods. So that'll be cool. Remember, this bonus was 20%. And then there's also a sneak attack bonus. And then Shadow Step, pretty cool stuff. Steed Stone was probably the most used stone by me. Like, it sucks that it's such a late game stone, honestly. Because in reality, I would say it's probably the most useful starting at early game. The ability to constantly add all those landmarks to your map, because I'm not going to say nobody. Most of us don't have a photographic memory or a perfect memory where we're just going to remember where everything on the map is. So consistently adding those extra points of interest to the map where you can just say, oh yeah, I want to go there, I want to go there, I want to go there. That's awesome. Steed Stone is very much the best utility stone by far, and it might honestly be the single best stone. It might be the single best stone. And then that out of combat movement speed, if you have good enough stamina regen, you're basically better than a horse. Like the amount of time it takes to summon a horse or track down a horse and then run with it somewhere and then get off the horse, it's faster just run where you want to run, and then unless you get into combat, you're like moving at very, very quick speeds, especially if you have something on like haste, Okado's Recital giving you haste or something like that. It just gets bananas how quickly you can move. So, and then Bag of Holding might be the only, like, because it's at will, and it's so useful. Again, very good utility stone. That might be the only stone. This Thief stone is probably the only stone. Every time I look at the list from Freyr, I'm just like, I miss it. All right, Thief stone, starter Pokemon. Tower stone, yeah, nah. I'm not, and I voiced this on the forums. I'm not a huge fan of anything that has to do with like just making locks easier to pick. Again, another once per day ability that would be useful if it wasn't once per day. I don't know how many targets it's supposed to hit. Is that an area effect? I don't know, because I've never used it. Because as soon as I saw once per day, I was like, I'm never going to use that. I don't think I've ever taken Tower Stone, honestly. I don't think I've literally ever taken Tower Stone. Yeah. Even the second, even like the non-unlockable effect is once per day. Warrior Stone. Okay, cool. So now we've gone over all the old stuff. Let's look at new hotness, starting with Argonian. Freyr, new hotness. All right, so we can count from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 stones. Okay. So that's a lot of work. I'm not sure which one I want to pick here. So disease resistance. No, I'm not really interested in resistance. Caustic spit causes people, and wow, that's crazy. So not only do you weaken them, which kind of makes it like they'll kill themselves, but is that a on demand, like without having any illusion? Like you have 0 illusion and you're basically giving a fury effect, right? Like you have 0 illusion skill points and that's a fury effect. That's powerful. Regrow limbs. That's a lot like was it the Hisborn effect? Whichever effect it was from Imperious. That's really good if you're a vampire, by the way. If you're a vampire in the sun, well, actually, no. Because in Imperious, it was all 3. So this only being health, that's not as good as the other one was. Yeah, I'm lying. That was not... The other one restored all of your stats. That's what made it so good for vampires. This one doesn't do that. Because if you were a vampire during the daylight and you weren't under the Shimmering Scales effect, I think it was called, then your... which when you jumped in the water, you gained immunity to the sunlight. So if you weren't under that effect, then when you were a vampire in the sunlight, you would drain your stamina and magicka would drain and they wouldn't refill. But there was another effect, like I think it was Hisborn, right, that gave you back that little bit, because it got so low, and the lower your stamina and magicka got, the more it refilled. It gave you back that little bit of that stamina that you were losing, so you could basically run nonstop. So that was what made that so powerful. Targets below 20% health in the ash. That's pretty cool, as long as you... I wonder if that works on... First of all, every time I see something, I'm going to say the words, I wonder if that works on dragons. Some of them I don't have to ask. Like, I'm almost 100% sure his spores making people attack randomly, giving them the, not fear effect, the frenzy effect. I'm 100% sure that doesn't work on dragons. Like, I can't name too many illusion effects that actually work on dragons. It's like Nemesis works on dragons, and then Illusory Flames works on dragons, and then basically nothing else except for like Wizard Rin and stuff like that works on dragons. Anything that causes like a change of personality or a change of AI, rather, doesn't really work on dragons. Dissolve, turning targets below 20% health into ash. I don't even know if I want to work on dragons, because how would you get your dragon souls? And then if you're a necromancer, how would you get your bodies? You really wouldn't, would you? So that's a good... I mean, granted, for anybody else, like if you're just a warrior or a mage or whatever, especially if you're a warrior. That's where caustic spit really comes into effect, because you're going to be close enough to the enemy to just spit on them. That sounds so weird. You're just going to be close enough to the enemy to spit on them. See what I'm saying? Like, this is so different just from Mannaz giving you an at will, hey, you want to spit on your opponent, go for it. Like, instead of using a dragon shout, just spit on your opponent. Now you don't have to roleplay the Dragonborn. Instead of using unrelenting force, you can just spin on your opponent and then do what you want to do, whether it's magic or physical. But this is really cool that you get to turn them into the ash. Like, all right, I weakened you, and then now, boom, you're ash. I don't think I'd use it, though. I don't think I'd use it. It just doesn't seem... It seems like win more. So some terms I want to use are like overpowered, win more. Win more means that you are already winning, and it just makes you win faster, but not in a good way. That's a term I got from Magic, where all that really matters is if you win the game. It doesn't matter how quickly you win it. So if an effect just makes you win a game faster, it's basically added nothing to the power of your deck in Magic the Gathering. Whereas if an effect can take you from a losing state to a winning state, that's actual value added. So that's what I mean by dissolve being win more. Like, unless you were already pretty much going to win the fight, or you were the only time this would be super useful is if you somehow had an effect that reduced enemies below 20% health but couldn't kill them, which is possible if you have something like Death's Door, right? So if you have something like Death's Door from what's that mod called again? Summer Mist, right? Yeah, Summer Mist. Something like Death's Door, where you drop them to 1 health, then following up that up with a dissolving caustic spit would be pretty cool. That could also be useful for illusory flames and illusory pyre. I don't know if they actually reduce enemies below 20% health, so I don't think it's useful in that case, actually. Yeah, it would honestly come down to what effects are you using to get people below 20% health, and then that would determine whether dissolve is useful. For now, the best case scenario I can see is for something like Death's Door. All right, Amphibious. Water home, rather. Amphibious restores magic and stamina. Let's look at that. Amphibious. Breathe water and swim. Okay. Okay, so in rain, restore health 100% faster, and that also applies to magic and stamina when you have water home. So, how do I think about that? How do I feel about this one? Nah. I mean, maybe, but nah. It depends. Like, the problem is it relies on you being outside. And a lot of your big fights are going to happen inside, especially if you're playing with an accelerated mod list where all of your... And, like, I have the Genesis dungeon spawns as well as Obis outdoor spawns and all this other stuff going on. Sands of Time. It's very difficult for me to think of, like, why would I ever want something that ever only works outdoors? That's my main effect, because this is one of my 2 effects when you think about it. One of my 3 effects, right? I don't want something that only works outdoors. And now I'm thinking of something that I only get 3 effects for being a Argonian. That means one of them is Water Home, one of them is Amphibious, and one of them is Caustic Spit. So that's 2 of my 3 effects only work outdoors effectively. I know, like, there's sometimes water indoors, like Illinalta's Deep, but realistically, you can only control outdoors. And I can't see it. I can't see this. Like, I would never use it. All right. Blood and Water. Win more. That's another win more one. Gaining 25% attack damage and critical damage whenever there's a nearby foe below 25% health. Yeah, that's one more, but it can be used strategically. Like, you reduce one enemy to very low health, and then you go find all the other enemies and start knocking them out with the extra attack damage and critical damage. I could see it. It's just really hard, especially later game, to not kill an enemy. And then by the time you're there, this is definitely win more. So Yeah, I'm not feeling it. All right, this is probably my favorite one coming up though. Basilisk from the Serpent Stone. Caustic Spit paralyzes targets for 3 seconds. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to ask the question that I said I'm going to ask. I don't know if this works on dragons, but if it does, holy, like, here's the thing that gets, Enai is usually very, 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 what's the word? Precise with his wording. His verbiage is very on point. So when I see paralyzes targets for 3 seconds, like paralyzes targets. It doesn't say humans and undeads or humanoids and creatures, because none of those things are dragons. It just says targets, which can include dragons. So I'm thinking this does work on dragons. I'm excited to try it out. All right, Swamp Poison. Reduce their poison resistance to nearby foes within 20 feet by 25%. Like it. I like it a lot. That's actually pretty good. Shadowstone. All right, so now for Steedstone, Power Scales. Increase swim speed by another 100%. Extremely situational. If you really just want to play Michael Phelps, I got you. But unless you're up in the Winterhold, not Winterhold, is it? Yes, Winterhold. Unless you're up in like in the Winterhold area a lot, where you have to swim around a lot. Honestly, you already, yeah. It's really hard for me to think of too many situations where you just want to swim that fast. Like, I've had some pretty fast swimmers from like Orum's Aquatic Escape, stuff like that. What's something else? I've had some pretty fast swimming characters, but usually it's very limited usage. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. Chameleon, hard to detect while standing still. I like moving though. Being hard to detect while standing still is cool. It lets you get away, I guess. Or if you're using like a movement skill, like one of the vampire skills that just instantaneously moves you from one point to another, I could see that as well. Because you're not technically moving, you're using a skill to move. Yeah, I mean, if you're a really big sniper, I guess that's mostly for snipers, right? If you're a really big sniper, I can see it. All right, Melt Lock. You guys know how I feel about locks, right? All right, we're gonna move forward. However, I'll say this: if you're trying to be if you're using Ornator or Volcarnator, and you're trying to be one of those dudes who is able to lockpick they're not called animatrons. What are those called? The dwarven automatons. If you're trying to lockpick those, being able to pick them easier and faster because you only have like a very short amount of time to do it, that's probably pretty clutch. So that would be the one case where I'm like, okay, this would be very useful. If you're playing a character that is basically you lockpick in order to take over automatons. But then again, that's situational. How often are you in Dwarven Ruins besides Blackreach? Not that often unless you're aiming for something specific. But if you are inside of them, very useful. You could take Tower Stone. Again, you're able to swap back and forth. It's not like taking a deity in Winter Sun where you gradually gain favor. You can just swap to the Tower Stone and then say, hey, I'm going to Blackreach and I want a automaton buddy, and that's, just do it that way. All right, his skin. Regenerate an additional 2% of your maximum health per second. So, this versus regrow limbs is a good question. Theoretically, regrow limbs might keep you from dying better though, because Well, his skin will keep you more up to snuff. It'll keep you more healthy. But regrow limbs will keep you like from dying if you're not on a hard enough difficulty where, you know, dying is basically instantaneous. Like, let me say this for example. For me, at a regrow limbs would be useless, just because I take damage so quickly that there's no point. Whereas his skin would be useful because I have Wildcat on, and because I have Wildcat on, I can take less damage, and I can I can take less damage from full health, and then I can get back to healing injuries faster because you're regaining that health per second. So that's useful. All right, so going over Breton changes. Oh, this is going to be a lot of changes. Okay. Questing culture. I don't know what this means. We're going to find out. Well, actually, he wrote it underwards. 25% magic resistance, spell absorb, and regenerating 2 health per second. So those passes are really good, really strong. And then besides that, you gain an additional effect from standing stones. So you get Stones of Galen. You basically get a 1+2 effect instead of a 2+1 effect with Breton, because you're always going to have the questing culture. So you're basically starting with no perks. Let's put it that way. You're starting with no bonuses, and then your character grows. So I think Breton might be back to being the strongest character just because of how much extra work you have to put into it. It may be worthwhile. Definitely the spell absorb and spell, all 3 of those bonuses are extremely worthwhile. But then you add these extra 2 effects from your standing stones, and that's even crazier. So I'm looking at Arcane Initiate. Once per battle, Breton's may activate a foe to deal random elemental damage equal to half your destruction level. And then power attacks, bashes, and sneak attacks deal random elemental damage equal to half your destruction level. That's powerful, guys. That's powerful, for especially if you're like a spell knight RP, spell sword at all. Very strong. Apprentice stone, mid game stone. You can get to it pretty. I mean, if you set a beeline to it, you can get to it pretty quickly. I don't know if it would be worth the risk, but you get to it pretty quickly. Just turn down your difficulty like novice for a few minutes. Atronach stone improves your stuff. So this is kind of like your, if you want to call it your what you call it RP. What do those guys call it? Your Forsworn. This is kind of like your Forsworn RP. So you've got your Atronach stone that improves your spells and scrolls by 50% by consuming a Briar Heart, Human Heart, or Flesh from your inventory, and then Atronach grants 50% chance to find a human heart and human flesh on humans you kill. Cool. So this is 50% magic, 50% magnitude, really strong. It also improves a couple other gods. What are those 2 gods named? There's 2 gods in Winter Sun that also want you. Sithis is one of them, and the other one that likes to eat flesh, the Daedric prince. I can't remember the name off the top. Namira. Yeah, those 2. It improves your ability to collect human flesh for those 2 deities. So that's really cool. All right, Lady, Blessing of the Lake. The Lady grants 20% chance to absorb incoming spells, and they're magically yours. Again, spell absorption. This is a very early game stone too, again. So I really like the fact that you can just go immediately, jump onto the lake, and grab the Lady Stone in order to get that 20% spell absorb. And then on top of that, you get some gold or a small enchanted item. That's really strong as well, especially for starting the game. So now when you think about starting a video game, very, very strong stone there. That might be the best starting stone for your Breton. Crown of Autumn. Power attacks deal 30% more damage and critical damage, but stamina does not regen in combat. And then this is basically almost the same as the Imperious version of the same thing. We already went over that before. And I still like it. So we're just going to move forward from there. Loverstone. So you get up to 15 seconds of being ethereal. And then after you break out of that state, if you basically break with an attack, you get to release a staggering effect. So when I think of this ability, I think of Thorns of Nirn, or Talons of Nirn, which is a spell, if I'm not mistaken, a spell that basically causes any nearby enemies, if they stagger, they'll be launched by a spike that comes out of the ground. There's also very similar effects from there's a very similar effect in Summer Mist, but it's basically caused by the weapon, not by you staggering the enemy. So very cool stuff. The one thing I've always wanted from that effect is that it actually deals some type of damage, because you're stabbing the enemy with a giant spike from the ground, launch them in the air, and then ragdolling them. Like, why does that do like literally 0 damage? I think it does stamina damage if I'm not mistaken, but I'd rather it do real damage. So that's kind of weird that it doesn't do any damage at all. Let's see. Mage Stone. So Mage Stone, Mage Stone is basically a starter Pokemon. The starter pack is literally the same. Nothing's different with it. So nothing to really report on there. Ritual Stone. When a staff is drawn, spells are 50% more powerful but cost 50% more magicka. That's super cool. So this is the third early game stone, right? How many early game stone? There you have the Lover Stone. Yeah, no, Lady Stone is an early game stone. And then Ritual Stone is outside of White Run. Those are the two that you get pretty early, right? If you're going for a staff build, which I'm not sure when you can first get your first really good staff, but if you're going for that type of build, this will get you started pretty well. When the staff is drawn, it's giving me a lot of the old Atronach Stone vibe. The thing that scares me the most with this is if you completely run out of charge for your staff, you're screwed. Because it doesn't say Magicka does not regenerate when a staff is drawn. It just says Magicka does not regenerate, and then you're screwed. Like, you need a staff. You need a staff, or you're basically you're fighting. And if you're going to be a spell sword anyway, then why wouldn't you just use the Apprentice Stone there? So I'm kind of tentative about this. I compared it earlier to a Magikarp evolving to Gyarados. This is really, really powerful. Really, really powerful. If you can get it to be consistent, and you can always have your charge and your Magicka level filled up. But if you have any issues keeping your charge up, and which would be an issue keeping your Magicka up, you're screwed. Like, there's no two ways about it. Like, you're screwed unless you're not. You're powerful unless you're screwed. It's like you either get 100% or you get 0%. And if you're not screwed and you're not powerful, that's because you're not using magic. And at that point, it's like kind of a waste of a stone, right? So it's one of those stones where you're going to have to hunt down those rare effects from Summer Mist to get some more recharge, to get some more magic resist. Excuse me, not magic resist. Magic effects that restore your magic, like siphoning magic or stealing magic when you kill an enemy, stuff like that. That's important for the ritual stone. I really like it, but I think it's misplaced to be so early in the game because it's very easy to trick yourself, I think, into being non-effective. And again, this is all theory, right? This is all theory. It's all theory. I haven't had a chance to play this, but I'm thinking you're so close to screwing yourself. It don't make sense. All right, Serpent. Dark Constellation. Okay, I'm gonna keep real with you. I don't like this one. I don't like it at all. I'm never gonna use it. Enai themselves, I don't know if it's a him or her. But Enai said they the intent is kind of sort of that you use a draining weapon, kind of like Volendrung or one of those. I think King drains as well, or the Drain Heart, Drain Spell, Drain. What's the one for stamina? Well, Drain Heart, Drain Spell type deal. Use one of those in order to to make sure that the enemy is losing their magic stamina, but you aren't. You're getting yours back because you're stealing theirs. And I'm like, that's cool, but that constricts the choices I have to basically draining effects. The main reason I'd want to drain something and disable their regeneration would be three things. Really tough melee enemies, which, okay, this is probably good for. This in combination with a Frost Cloak, probably pretty powerful. Let me think. Or maybe chasing down a mage, in which case this in combination with a shock spell would basically deplete their magicka to 0, and then shock spells deal way more damage once their magicka is at 0 because they can't replenish it. And the third reason I don't want to drain an effect is for dragons, and dragons are just never going to be within that close of a range unless they're landing temporarily. But as soon as they pull away, dragons have like ridiculously quick magicka regen. So as soon as it flies away from you, it's able to spit fire at you again, and it's all for nothing. That's why you use something like Wizard Rend. It's Wizard Rend, and what was the other? I forgot what the other spell was. You need an Apocalypse spell and an Odin spell specifically to take down dragons to completely seal them up, though. It was a Wizard Rend and Magic Void. Wizard Rend stops them from regenerating magic, and it also quickly depletes their magic count. And then Magic Void reduces their health to what their current magic amount is, which could be like 1 HP, depending on how good you've been at aiming. Both of those in concert are way better than having the Serpent Stone. It's very hard for me to think of too many situations. The other situation where you might use this is if you have a whole bunch of allies. If you're like the leader of a pack, like you're a bard build or something like that, this could be useful. Because a lot of your abilities don't require magicka or stamina. The Irresistible Dance doesn't. The Earthquake Drum doesn't. Shouts don't. So in those cases, and then your allies aren't affected by this at all, but your enemies are. That makes this very good, useful for those builds. I'm not sure if it's more useful than other stones for those builds, but it's probably more useful. That's a case where having this stone's downside doesn't badly affect you, and it helps out your allies. And also, if I'm thinking of where would this be most useful, probably in a gang of enemies, right? Like if you have a whole bunch of enemies, like you're in the middle of a Forsworn camp and you have a whole bunch of allies around you, and your allies kind of wear them out, reducing their stamina and their magicka, and then your allies can just kind of like win the battle of attrition. I like that idea. So I still don't like the stone. There is a use case for it. I just don't like it. I'm gonna keep real with you guys. I don't like it. Okay, Shadowstone. I completely whiffed this the first time I actually wrote up my thoughts on the Breton stones. I wish this was for everybody. I wish this was in Andromeda, honestly. I wish this was something in Andromeda. Because we have some really bad stones in Andromeda that could be replaced. Um, Shadow Stone. Basically, if you're a bowman, this is your stone. If you just want to, you want to study the bow. Like, I studied the bow while you were getting the horn of Yorgan and Windcaller. I studied the bow. Yeah, Shadow Stone's your bow. Shadow Stone's your stone. High Noon is for your snipers, obviously, and then Outlaws for your running gunners. It's just that simple. Steed Stone. It's just like a, I hate to say it, but it's just kind of like I miss the real Steed Stone. I really do. I'm gonna keep real with you. I just don't think I'm ever gonna use this. I don't think I'm ever gonna use this. Moving 25% faster is just not useful. Especially if you have to beat on a horse to do it, it's just not useful. And then standing still with hands down. I'm trying to think of how many, like, maybe to, I could think if you're using like light armor and you're like using evasive leap, maybe. That'd be the only thing I can think of where, yeah, I want to do that. Or if you're using a, not Aura Whisper, what's the one that turns you invulnerable? Whatever one turns you invulnerable. I always forget the name of it. But whichever shout makes you like ethereal, that one too. But yeah, I can't think of, obviously there's better choices. There's just way too many better choices to pick that. I'd almost say why didn't they just get the old Steed Stone from Andromeda, because that one's so good. All right, Thief is the starter Pokemon again. Tower. All right, so here we go. Unfortunately, you cannot use, I said this accidentally in my post because I wasn't thinking about it, but this is a Breton only thing, so you can't use Skooma Trick with this, and that sucks. But there's so many other things you can use it with it. You can like use the Brotherhood Cocktail to poison people. You can use Death's Emperor, the evil coin that you get from Volcarnator, and then Mutiny. You can just put that in somebody's pocket and then have them go kill people for you. You can use so many different things. Tower's much more of a, I want to get close to people and attack them stone with Breton, and I like it. I like it a lot. Very, very useful. Warrior, again, starter Pokemon, nothing useful. Well, not nothing useful. It's useful early game, but you're eventually going to replace it. So, or you should replace it. So he's got some notes under here. Circle Galen will drain your left hand first, then your right hand. So you have no safe staff, basically. You just have to, gosh, 25 points per second is so high for early game. Again, this is an early game stone. I'm just so, I get later game, but this is an early game stone. It's just gonna hurt so bad. All right, you get about 2/3 attack power damage when out of stamina with a Lord Stone. And then Kingmaker gives an item. So this is your Lady Stone. Every 10 to 20 minutes on average. That's not bad at all. And then Dojon prevents the target from spotting you while sneaking or seeing you as an enemy. Cancels their combat alarm status and increases pocket chance by 20%. That's really powerful. I like that. I really like that a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I love that. Like, yeah, I'm just so, gosh, that Ritual Stone is just, it's great. It's bad until it's great. Like I see where it goes, but to get to that end state, it's just so much like, so much pain. Like you just wouldn't want to take it very early game, and that sucks that it's available. Like imagine if you were picking up Skyrim, what was it, 11, right? So 12 years ago, and you were just like, wow, I'm gonna try the stone out, and you're just like, why don't I have magicka? Why can't I cast any spells? Your ritual stone just screwed you. All right, Dark Elf. Oh, wow. We're already at 50 minutes. I might want to split this up into multiple parts, but I'm probably not going to. I'm probably just going to put chapters in the... I just learned that I could do that, by the way. I just have to do it manually. I could go into the description. I could set up chapters. So that's what I'm going to do for this one. Dark Elf. First of all, let's look at the... I'm going to have to reload a little bit. Ancestral Protector, once a day. Oh, you're hurting me. You're hurting me there. Once a day, when a foe is about to deliver a killing blow, an ancestral spirit drains health and knocks them down. So basically, anything that says Ancestral Protector is going to be useless to us. And then Fireblood. Dark elves who are struck by a fire spell or touch a forge will capture some of its fire for later use. So does 25 points of magic damage and you get healed for the same amount. Fireblood captures a fire, gains an ability that increases fire resist by 25% and allows you to activate an opponent in combat to inflict a burst of fire damage. The duration of the buff is unlimited until the active component is used. The damage dealt... So, okay. There is a spell. I forgot what it's called. Is it Wandering Flame or Wild Flame or something like that? Basically, it's a flame that constantly hops back and forth from you to the enemy. It's not that strong, but it would basically proc Ash Fireblood over and over and over and over again. And I cannot wait to do that on stream. I really can't. I cannot wait to do that. Like, that has been the combo that's been rolling through my head as soon as I saw it months ago. As soon as I saw this effect, I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go with that. Like, the wild flames or whatever it's called, the one that jumps back and forth between you and the enemy. Yeah, definitely going to be my spell of choice. Because the active component is used, then you lose the buff. So as long as the buff keeps reapplying itself, I want to keep using it. The damage dealt by the active component is 25% of your fire resist value per second for 4 seconds and does not stack with itself. So you don't get to stack it with itself, but it's fine. When the active component is used, the ability goes on a 4-second cooldown. So, okay, so basically the ability itself can only be re-upped every 4 seconds. I still think that's useful. Like, I don't know if I'd want to use Volcano to proc it or if I want to use something else. There is a Summer Mist enchantment called Negate Magic. And what happens is if you get up to 150% fire resist, it basically makes you immune to fire damage. And I'm thinking I basically want to put myself at like 140-ish. It's pretty simple to get to without looping. Put myself at like 140-ish fire resistance, just so I can make sure that I can still get hit by fire spells. I don't know if I have to take damage from the fire spell, if it help, or if it's just like getting struck by it. But we'll find out. I'll try that at 150 to see if immunity makes me I'll try that 150 first to see if immunity makes Ashborn not work or Fireblood not work. And then I'll try that 140 if it doesn't work because of my immunity. All right, so now that we know what we're working with. Okay, actually, never mind. Ancestral Protector is now available once per battle instead of once per day. Okay, so it kind of read my mind. I would never ever want something that's only once per day. So that makes it useful. That's the printed stone. That's one's like kind of a mid-game-ish stone. Early mid-game because it's like Horn of Jorgen one color area. Atronach Stone, later game. Ashlander, Elven Blood grants an additional 25% fire resist. I don't know if I want this. I might want it, but I'm not sure if I want it. It depends on if I need it. Theoretically, as long as I'm able to loop enchanting, may be possible. As long as we're able to loop enchanting, Ashlander would not be useful to us because we just loop our enchanting up to the 150 fire resist that we need. All right. Lady Walk Alone. Dark Elves regenerate an additional 1% of their max. By the way, I just thought about it. Because the damage of your Ashborn is based... No, I keep saying Ashborn, but Fireborn. Because the damage of your Fireborn is based on your fire resistance, there's no reason for you to. I mean, you would want to max out your fire resistance anyway, which means that maybe Ashland would have usage, especially earlier game. All right. Lady, walk alone. Dark elves regenerate a additional 1% of their maximum magic and stamina per second. Okay, that's cool. Heart of Ash, at will power for 25 magicka. Sacrifice 10 health per second to improve attacks, critical strikes, and spells by 30%. So, anything that says spell magnitude 30 is going to pique my interest. And then you're adding attacks and critical strikes to that. 10 health per second that's a steep price. I see this being useful though. Spells by 30% I see that being useful. Excuse me. I see that being extraordinarily useful. All right, Ancestral Hearth. Ancestral Protector will also attack foes set on fire by fire blood. No. 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 This still consumes a daily activation? Why? All right, so this is where you get Ethereal Crown and you just go ham. Yeah, you basically use Ethereal Crown to get Spirit Walker and Ancestral Hearth. Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. It's just that simple. Loverstone, I forgot exactly. Oh, Loverstone is over in Markarth almost. It's like near Karthwasten. Pretty tough area to be in. I hate the stone. I hate it, but I love it. I can't explain it. I hate it, but I love it. I would never use it by itself, but with Spirit Walker, and then by using Ethereal Crown, you could use it alongside Loverstone. I can see that working out. I can see it working out. All right, Spite. Dark Elves are up to 25% more effective with spells as health decreases. So this is another one where I'm like, look, 25% more effective with spells as health decreases. And then I'm looking at the Heart of Ash, which sacrifices 10 health per second. That's another combo that looks to me like Ethereal Crown. Like, you can sacrifice your health to make yourself much more powerful in spells. Like up to what? 55% more powerful? I see it. I like it. Fireblood automatically catches a fire when entering combat. Won't need it. It's a ritual stone though, so if you don't have any good it's a very early game stone. If you don't have any good fire spells like the one I'm talking about, you can use that. Serpent Stone. Ancestral Protector deals extra damage equal to your fire resist. I like it. But again, that's once per day, so I'm just like, anything that has to do with Ancestral Protector is automatically going to have to be a involve Spirit Walker, which means it's going to have to be a Ethereal Crown thing. All right, Shadow. Deal 25%. Oh, or maybe not. Deal 25% more attack damage and critical damage while Ancestral Protector is on cooldown. So that means for an entire day, you just get extra attack damage, 25% more attack damage and critical damage. That's actually pretty interesting. I'm not going to lie. I was not expecting this kind of effect to show up. So this would be the one where you don't need Ethereal Crown, because if you're going to use something really powerful with your Ancestral Protector and then follow it up with this, I can see it. I can see it a lot. I wouldn't use Ancestral Vengeance though. I would use something else. Like something else useful. Well, maybe Spirit Walker would still work because it's once per battle. So if it's on cooldown, I don't know. Yeah, I don't see anything that goes well with it. Vendetta. No, I already talked about Vendetta. Blazing Speed. Fireblood grants 10% movement speed in addition to its other effects. Okay, cool. Fireblood also blinds the opponent and forces them out of combat. I like this. For my kind of Morag Tong, you know, sneaky fire, but vampire, but dark magic-y, Dunmer setups. I like blinding the opponent, forcing them out of combat with fire spells, and then still hitting them more with it, and I get the burst. That looks nasty to me. I'm not gonna lie. I like that one. I like that one a lot. I like that one a lot, actually. I'm looking back up, trying to think out how I can. Probably. See, this is one you could just take by itself, though. And it's the Thief Stone. Wow, who would think like the best Dunmer stone would be the Thief Stone? That's crazy. That's crazy. So far, the best Dunmer stone so far. Yeah, there's still 2 more left. All right, Tower Stone. Able to expend Fireblood to open any. Oh, okay, never mind. And then Warrior, Dishonor. Dark Elves deal 20% extra attack damage and critical damage if the target is alone. So that's kind of like your follower Boethia build type deal. I like it. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. I like that. That's kind of cool. I prefer the one where you deal 25% more attack damage, but that's not Warrior Stone. That's something that's way harder to get to, right? Where's that one? Vendetta. Shadowstone. Yeah, Shadowstone is way hard to get to. So for a very early game stone, Dishonor's good. Thief. Yeah, I'm sure when I end up playing the game, I'm just going to use Thief. I might end up using some of those combos with Ethereal Crown I was talking about. My main deal with Ethereal Crown, though, is that... Matter of fact, I might just do it. I might just go with Ethereal Crown for this. Because the Spirit Walker plus Ancestral Hearth ability seems really good. It does. The Spirit Walker plus Ancestral Hearth, and also the Heart of Ash plus Spite. They both seem really good. But in general, I would say for a standalone stone, Thief is probably the single best one. And you just get it at the very beginning of the game, which is freaking awesome. And then you also have Ancestral Vengeance, which is also really good. If you want to go out of your way to get the Serpent Stone. No, wait. Not Ancestral Vengeance, excuse me. Vendetta. Vendetta's Shadowstone. I forgot which is where. Serpent Stone is out. The Serpent Stone is out in the Sea of Ghosts, right? And the Shadowstone is the one that's near Rithen, I think. In any case, they're both kind of hard to get to. Although, yeah, they're both pretty hard to get to. The one near Rithen is usually protected by a Thunder Dragon for me, and then some other really strong enemies. And then the Sea of Ghosts is just a nightmare because of all the ice wraiths and the polar bears, and yeah. Yeah, both of those stones are actually pretty decently tough to get to. But that Thief Stone is ridiculous. That Thief Stone is dumb. I love it. By the way, let me say which ones I was going to get from the other ones. I'm pretty sure I'm going to use Serpent Stone for Argonian, right? There's nothing else where I was like, oh yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just Serpent Stone. It's literally just Serpent Stone. Yeah, it's literally just Serpent Stone. And then that Basilisk ability is strong. It's good. Especially if it works on dragons. It's bar none the best stone. Breton can change based on your build. I think Apprentice is probably the best one. It's just so useful. It's it's just so useful. Unless you're playing like a pure mage or some type of anything that doesn't want to use, unless you want to be far away from your enemies, or you're using something that doesn't like use swords or something, like Apprentice is probably the go-to. I'm mistaken. But then again, like Circle of Galen Druiddom, like Ritual Stone's really strong once you're able to actually use it consistently. I'm not going to talk about Serpent Stone. Shadowstone's really good if you're an archer. Like, this really does depend on build. I'm going to keep it real with you. This really does just straight up depend on build. We're not going to talk about Steedstone. Tower Stone, again, if you're going into one of those types of builds, really good. Loverstone, if you're in that type of build, really good. Ladystone's very good for early game until you can get your hands on one of the strongest stones. Lordstone is good if you're using like a Volendrung type deal where you're just like, I'm just going to absorb stamina from the enemy and be a really hard hitter. But then again, I'd probably want to go Apprentice with that route anyway. I'm going to keep real with you. I think Apprentice Stone just basically outclasses Lordstone here. There's no downside to it whatsoever, whereas Lodestone has a downside. And then on top of that, I would say if you're not a spell sword at all, then maybe Lordstone. But if you are, then it's easily Apprentice. Alright. So, and then for this one, it's just clearly, for Dark Elf, it's just clearly Thief for me. Heart of Ash deals damage on each heartbeat, averaging out to 10 points of damage per second. What's Heart of Ash again? Okay. And then honestly on this one, even with Heart of Ash, you could, if you don't like the downside of Heart of Ash, you could heal yourself. Like, you really could. Especially if you have Okado's Recital and something like Rejuvenation or Regeneration, one of those types of spells, you could just heal yourself through it. 10 health per second is not that big. My Rejuvenations are usually hitting for like 60 health per second. Well, healing for 60 health per second. So that's like chump change. Alright, High Elf. Okay, we gotta look at the Mannaz. Alright, we got Fairy Light. So once per battle, High Elves can activate an opponent to dispel all spells and drain magicka based on your level. I don't see any notes for Fairy Light, so that's all we got. I'm not a big fan of that one. I don't think I'm a big fan of Mannaz High Elf. I'm gonna keep it with you guys. I do miss Contingency. Once per day power. Oh god, is this going to be another one where you only get like the once per day from to at will from Freya? But High Elven Blood allows you to set a minor magical effect to activate under certain conditions. Oh, okay, never mind. You can only use it once per day to set your spell. But once that spell is set, it's basically, it's not contingency though, because it's not a spell that you're using. It's an effect. So, health per second, restore magicka. Okay, so Breton just blows this out of the water because Breton gets all those as like permanent effects with its world questing culture. Although move 15% faster is cool. Like, you get more options, but I'm gonna keep it real with you. Having 3 options is better than having one of any of your choice, I think. Alright, so now we know what these are. Any more magic lasts 10 seconds longer. How long did it last? Oh, 15, 30 seconds. Okay. Changes fairy light to inflict 50. Okay. I see you, Atronach Stone. I see what you're trying to do. See where you're trying to take us. Glare. Changes fairy light to reduce armor by 500 points for 10 seconds. Okay, so that's basically the opposite. Here's my thing about this though. Lady Stone, very early game stone. Atronach Stone, pretty late game stone. Granted, you can go get it, just turn your difficulty down and just run for it. But when I see the one that I actually want, usually on an Altmer, it's probably going to be the magic one. But instead, the easy one to get is Lady Stone. And I'm just like, why? Especially when you think about it. The other thing is that Fairy Light, you have to interact with the target. If you're a mage, chances are you don't want to interact with the target like that. Unless you're like paralyzing them and making it easier. But if you can paralyze them, why don't you just kill them? So it's like, I can see this for a spell sword. Maybe. I can see this more for a spell sword, or if you're taking down a dragon, something that's really beefy, and you have a chance to just like run up on it and interact real quick. Not a huge fan of the of running up and interacting with something as a pure mage. For Lady Stone, much simpler. You're going to be up in something's face anyway, so just go ahead and click on it and it works. Is Fairy Light once per day? No, once per battle. Oh yeah, that's useful. Just run up to the toughest enemy and yeah, do it. Yeah, so that's really strong stone on Lady Stone. Not as strong on an Atronach Stone, just because of reality and because of where it's placed. Lord Stone and more magic is 50% more effective. Okay, cool. So 50% more scaling on whatever your effect is. Unseelie changes Fairy Light to drain magicka equal to 20 plus 5 times level and transfer it to you. No. Unless I have a specific master spell that drains literally all of my magicka. But then again, if I cast one of those, my enemy should probably be dead. Unless they're actually like dragons. So yeah, I don't see it. High elves get an extra 50 points of magical while a magical effect from Inborn Magic is active. That's Mage Stone. I see it. I don't hate it. Very useful for a beginner. Like if you're just starting the game, I'd probably pick that for my character just to start with, and then try to pick something else later. Crystalline. This Ritual Stone. Ooh. Okay, Glass Cannon. 200% faster, but lose 250% points of armor and 50% magic resistance. So the armor doesn't matter that much because later in game you can get Dragon Flesh, which just basically means armor doesn't matter. The magic resistance is the part that hurts. That's the part that hurts like hell. I'm going to be frank with you. I don't know if this is tenable because of that magic resistance loss. Because of that magic resistance loss, I don't know if this is tenable. I think you end up regretting that anytime a dragon breathes fire at you, you're just like, oh, that was a mistake. Will-o-wisp, serpent stone. Blind targets for 20 seconds to force them out of combat. Okay, so useful. Another one of those where it blinds the enemy. I don't hate it. Unlike the Dark Elf, it doesn't get it at the Thief Stone, so it's not as ridiculously cool. And then again, you have to directly interact with the target, which I don't like as well. Like forcing them out of combat is cool. But the fact that I have to like run up to the enemy and touch them is nah. The thing I like about the other thing I like about the Dark Elf one is that I can just do what I want to do anyway, which is hit them with a fire spell and it works. Like I can just keep hitting enemies with fire spells and they just keep getting into combat, dropping out of combat theoretically, every 4 seconds on cooldown. Like that's what I like. I like that. Eclipse. Shadow sneak 15% better. Shadowstone? Oh, okay. Spells are 15% more effective while magical effect from okay, now we're cooking. Now we're talking. Kind of hard to get to, but probably I don't know if 15% magnitude is really worthwhile. But I'm not saying too much that's that much better. Like, there's the one that says and more magic is 50% more effective. Is there an effect? Dang, he did not add a magic damage. He does not want you to do any type of magic damage. Dang. All right. Well, 15% more effective is about as good as you're going to get. That's really sad on a... I'm not going to lie. This is really, really sad for Altmer. It feels bad. It feels kind of bad. It feels really bad. I ain't going to lie to you guys. That feels really bad. Like, the fairy fire, you have to touch the enemy. So now I have to be an Altmer running up to my opponent. Come on now. Like, why am I running up to my opponent to do more damage? So that's your 50%. That's your good damage right there. And then for the not good damage, it's only 50%. Like for the guaranteed damage, it's not good damage. But for the, I get that it's high risk, high reward, low risk, low reward. But for Altmer, come on, man. That's really rough. That's rough. Like, I would almost say it would be better if you swapped attack damage, because I think Immortal Magic has an effect for 15% more attack damage, right? Yeah. I would have swapped this for that. Like, that way I could have Inborn Magic going along with Superiority to get maybe 22% attack magic damage. But with this setup, you can get 22% extra attack damage as an Altmer, but you can only get 15% more. That's the sad part. You can only get 15% magic damage. Like, I think this is backwards. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I don't know if Enai watches this or listens, but I don't think this is how Altmer should have been. I think Altmer you should have swapped that. More magic should have had the option for magic damage. All right, Thief changes Fairy Light to briefly disarm the target. Okay, that's cool. This one's for battle, right? I think Fairy Light's once per battle. I keep forgetting. Yeah. I rarely ever disarm enemies briefly, so I don't think I've ever briefly disarmed an enemy. Like, usually I fully disarm them, and then they go find a weapon and pick it up and then try to fight again. So, brief disarmament, I'm not sure how useful that is. I'd have to play around with it. Seller, gain invisibility for 10 seconds when inborn magic activates. Probably useful. Probably. You wouldn't want to use it if you have like party starter on your build, because whenever you become invisible with party starter, it causes an explosion. Can aggro people. Makes a lot of noise too. Alright, Autumn from Warrior. Changes Fairy Light to drain stamina, plus 5 times level and transfer it to you. Okay, fine. That's cool. I mean, again, the whole mechanism behind Fairy Light, is just bad, because it relies on the high elf getting close to the opponent, and I automatically hate that. Like, I really do. Like, I get if you're a high elf warrior, but in the lore, how many high elves are warriors? Like, compared to high elves, who are the notable ones, are going to be mages. So the fact that this entire mechanism, plus the Freyr side, well, not really the Freyr side, it's more this side's fault. The Mannaz side is the main culprit of this. The Freyr side is just trying to kind of fix it. But the whole mechanism of having to activate the opponent just sucks. It really just sucks for, hey, I'm trying to be a mage. I'm trying to space. I'm trying to use stuff like Rift Bolt and Psychonic Rift to keep distance between me and the target, or Whirlwind Cloak and stuff like that. I just don't want the enemy to touch me so that I can be squishy and charge up my big old rituals or my good old, like, big spells like Plasma Bolt or what have you, and just keep distance between me and the opponent. Like, that's what I'm really aiming for as a mage. It's just not going to be very effective. It's not anywhere near as effective being a mage in Mannaz plus Freyr, in Futhark rather, than it was in version 1 in EnaiRim. So I'll say if you want to be a high elf, it's probably better to stick to what you know, the Imperious and the Imperious plus what you call it, Imperious plus Andromeda combo, because even my main thing I don't like is that inborn magic. So Fairy Light I don't like because it forces you to touch the opponent. Inborn magic I don't like because none of these effects say that you get. And I hope he just forgot to add it to this line, or this isn't all inclusive. But if this is all inclusive, then this is terrible. 15% extra attack damage versus 15% spell magnitude. I wish that said spell magnitude, and then I'd be a lot more positive about it. It still wouldn't be great, but I'd be a lot more positive about High Elf, because High Elf gets, with superiority from Lordstone, it gets 22% attack damage. And in Fairy Light, it's very easy to, especially, oh man, yeah. At best, if you're using the Steed Stone, you're getting Unicorn, which is 15%. I'm so not a fan. I have to touch the enemy for one effect, which is unmage-like. And then my spell magnitude, my maximum spell magnitude is weaker than my maximum attack strength magnitude, which is, again, none of this makes sense for Altmer. I think this is a flavor fail. It might be balanced in a way that he wants to balance it, he or she, Enai wants to balance it. But in reality, this is not an Altmer. This is not an Altmer at all. It isn't Altmer. It doesn't give Altmer. It doesn't feel Altmer. I'm just going to put it that way. It doesn't feel Altmer. I don't feel like I can play a good mage with this. I feel like I can play a way better mage with Dark Elf, with Heart of Ash. Like, look at this. Spells, 30%. And then if I put on Ethereal Crown, 25% more effective with spells as health decreases. I get 55% magnitude just doing this. Like, this feels right. This feels like I'm sacrificing health. The word, I'm spiteful. Heart of Ash, burning, spells getting stronger because I'm sacrificing health and I'm low health. Like, this feels very Dunmer. This feels like a Dunmer thing to do. This gives Dunmer. This does not give high elf. I'm sorry, Nah, this does not give high elf at all. I'm not feeling it. Like, I don't want to, and I know he doesn't want to railroad any type of race into playing a certain thing, but this just doesn't give any type of, like, how do you roleplay a Sijic or a Thalmor wizard or anything? Like, you don't feel powerful at all. Like, you don't feel like you're some kind of descendant of, like, the gods of the world. What are they called? The Aether? Or I know they're called the Adra, but Atata, right? You don't feel like you're a descendant of the Atata with this. You don't feel like you're, like, one step away from being a real god in this universe, in Nern or in the wheel. Yeah, this is a flavor fail. I'm so sorry. I can't feel it. I can't feel it. I was hoping for better, but I can't feel it. Like, I resolved myself not to complain about contingency not being there, because I really do like the extra spells. But even with this inborn magic, it's like, why isn't there the option for magic? You know what I mean? I hope that or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he just didn't write it down, and maybe I'm just overreacting to words. And when I go into the game and try it myself, I'll be pleasantly surprised, and there will be magic there. You know what I'm saying? Maybe there will be magic. And then instead of it being just like 15%, it'll be 30% consistently without having to sacrifice any health or anything like that. And I'll be like, okay, that's cool. I like that. Like, because if it is like, hey, you could pick 15% more magical magnitude for your inborn magic, and then on top of that, you can use Unicorn to get another 15% more, that'd be really good. I like that. I like that free 30%. And then I'd pick Unicorn all the time. I'm still going to pick Unicorn when I play the game, once I get around to it. I don't think Altmer's going to be the first. I'm going to keep real with you. Altmer's probably going to be the last. At this rate, Altmer will be the last. Not vocation, this is in Dragon's Dogma, the last race I play, just because of how bad it feels. I don't like what I'm looking at. I really don't. So I'm just gonna move forward from here. All right, Imperial. All right, let's look at their Mannaz effects. All right, so we got Imperial Gold. Ooh, okay. Yep. So you can get them to fight for you for 60 seconds. Again, I'm liking this. This is giving lots of Imperial Bard, lots of Imperial Commander, Legion, Legate type stuff. All the stuff that I like to play with Imperial. This is directly impacting that playstyle, even more so than Imperious did. So I'm with it. All right, Star of the West. Imperials get 2 additional perk points. Okay. Not a huge fan of that one because I fixed my perk points anyway. But I can see if you weren't using a perk fixing thing, a perk fixing mod, like, which who does that? But if you weren't using like the extra perk points at level 25, 50, 75, or Enai also has the 50% more perk points one. If you weren't using either of those, I honestly use double perk points. That's the one I use, which is for Volcarnator. If you aren't using any of those, then I get how that could be useful. But again, why would you do that to yourself? Just don't. Yeah, Star of the West is going to be useless. I would think for most players it's going to be useless. Maybe you are one of the few players or one of the many players who has no perk additives at all. In which case, this is great for you. But then again, What are you just running Ord? Are you just running like Valkyrie? Like that's weird. And even if you're running Valkyrie, there's more perks than in vanilla, so you probably want some type of perk buffing mod. But let's get off that topic. All right, so Imperial Gold allows us to bribe opponents for 40 gold per level. All right, Imperial skills improve 8% faster. Sounds like that looks like it should be on Lady Stone. I'm not gonna lie. That should have probably been on Lady Stone or a Ritual Stone. Only because Apprentice Stone doesn't happen that early in the game. Whereas Ritual Stone is much earlier. And so is Lady Stone. Faith. So are these all like virtues? Like the... Well, no, it's not 7 heavily virtues. There's 13 of these. Imperials are 20% more effective with healing spells and effects. Again, if you have the Mara blessing, right? Mara's blessing heals your allies. Again, for your Bard build or your Commander build, your Legate build, your your Legion build, like, again, huge effects here. Imperials deal 20% more attack damage and critical damage when fighting more than one opponent. Wow. Okay. That's good. Imperials take 15% less attack damage when fighting more than one opponent. Also good. Bribe lasts twice as long. So 120 seconds instead of 60. I do like that. I like that a lot. Because if you're going to invest that... If you're going to invest that money, you want it to work. I didn't realize you could bribe more than one person at a time. I just skipped kind of down to ritual. That being, oh, okay, so you get lover. Okay, never mind. I'm not mad at lover and ritual right now because both those are the early stones. Oh no, lover's not early. Lady is early. Ah, crud. All right, ritual stone's early though, and that giving you bribed characters will follow you, and it lasts 5 times as long. Only one person can be bribed. So you get 5 minutes of one bribed person. I feel like that person would end up dead, honestly. I feel like they would. But it's not bad. Wisdom of Saints. Imperials regenerate magic of 50% faster. Okay, cool. Bribe lasts twice as long as probably... right now, I'm thinking that's the best actual one. I'm thinking that's the one. It's in a hard to get location, so you wouldn't get it off the rip, but it's not, I think that's the one. Imperial Gold has a 8% chance to find a rare item, including enchanted items. Okay. Does this proc after every battle? Maybe. If it's every container, meaning every corpse, every chest, everything, then that's kind of cool. It'd be a decent uptick in money. But it's also pretty hard to get to since it's a Serpent Stone. So by the time you get to it, I'm not really... Unless you're really hunting for Summer Mist items, I'm not really a big fan of it. Alright. Diplomacy. Bribe also improves pickpocket chance and sneak attack damage by 25%. So does that mean against that person or against anybody? That'd be my only question. Does that mean against that one person or against anybody? I don't know. Wait, so his note for devotion says, will follow you until it dies. But This just says lasts 5 times as long. I don't know what that means. Like, it would be obviously if the character dies that the 5 minutes is up, right? So I don't get the point of writing that. Unless it's not 5 minutes. Ooh. Speed up nearby allies within 25 feet by 20%, including your horse. Now, here's the thing. I really don't like 20%. And I said this was Breton. I don't like 20% speed. But on allies, because I don't think this was the thing with Breton, right? Was it a thing with Breton? The speed of their horse and that width of nearby allies. So this is stronger theoretically, but at the same time, I don't think it means your allies are 25% faster. I think it means your allies' horses are 25% faster. And that's why I didn't like this one, because it's only for travel. Whereas this one looks like it's more for combat. Like, this one looks like, wait, where are we? Yeah. I like this one more because it looks like it's more for combat with the steed stone. Alright, Killing of Saints. Regenerate stamina, and then warriors regenerate health. What was Lady Stone? Lady Stone is actually okay-ishly good. It sucks if you want to be a mage. I guess you could take the Mage Stone. Yeah, you don't really get a good magic effect. And then Tower, if ever. Okay, Tower Stone might be the one. I think Tower Stone's probably the one. Attack damage to nearby allies within 25 feet by 20%. That's probably, like, literally the one. Alright, we're about an hour and a half into this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chop this one up, and I'm going to do some more. I'll just do some more talking on more streams, so we'll get back to the next. I don't know how many more classes we got to go through. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 10 of them total. I think I've done 4. Or actually, I've probably done 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I've done half of them actually. So we'll go through the second half during the next episode of this. So yeah, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace. We'll start with Khajiit next.